We are again. It is Yankee Tea News, co-sponsored by the Greenwich Stanford Tea Party Patriots, and I believe we're up to number 55, or is this 54?
455.
Yep, I've got to go back and get my numbers right. So we have quite a few things to talk about tonight, but certainly the top of the list for everybody is this lovely woman right here, Nina Jankowicz. Now, this is pretty good. It's the New York Post doing its thing, but I couldn't help but come up with my own little doodle of her. Okay, so there you have it. The nose has already grown because she's told more than enough lies already. Can't seem to get her information straight. Plus, let's see if I can find the good one here. Yes. Okay. This is just typical of what goes on with these people. You know, I think there's a lot to be said just around this issue concerning the lies that were told during the plandemic. All right, we'll save that for later. So the first, there's a collection of articles here, and I thought the good one was titled, "At Last, a Hill to Die On," which is to say that of all the things where we've had to take a stand, this is the one where we really got to do it. The notion the government's going to get away with such a complete abrogation of our First Amendment rights is unacceptable, period. End of discussion. Now, just to add to the Orwellian nature of Nina Jankowicz and this disinformation board, I just want to quote a little something from the article here. Nina Jankowicz, who heads this group, her Wikipedia entry lacks a precise date of birth, lacks her place of birth, and any of the customary details about her family, ethnic and religious background, and all we know is she's married to a man named Michael Stein. That's about it, okay? And the other part is, just as some examples, she lied about the Russian false flag dossier. She lied about the Hunter Biden laptop story. And as it says here, this is the woman who's going to be in charge of repealing the First Amendment. It's ridiculous on its face. And there's another example here. I'll just hold up this article. The title says, Jen Psaki lied to D.C. reporters about COVID spending, and only one of them called her on it. So what would Nina Jankowicz do about the one reporter who would have called her out on this information concerning their COVID spending? Okay, she makes a misrepresentation. Only one reporter makes the effort to get to the bottom of it and to find out that she did not tell the truth. Now what, Nina? Now what? Okay. Meantime, we have both from Representative Lauren Boebert and from Senator Josh Hawley the plan to introduce a bill that will take away the funding for this board, plus a prohibition that this sort of stunt will never be pulled again, because we do still have this thing called the First Amendment. Okay, that's it in a nutshell, but we're going to have a special session here with Mary Ann. We're going to focus on this, shall we say, in the spirit of 1984. Meantime, it's puzzling, all right? I have a thought here, right or wrong. People who have followed the Ukraine-Russia conflict have noted that, you tend to find a lot of information about the Ukrainian side, not that much about the Russian side, and we want to blame the legacy media because they're really on Ukraine's side, so to speak. I have a different take on this. Any society, even if they have their own news sources and such, that tends towards being secretive, it's not going to be really good at public relations, not really good with publicity. And so they're not going to do a good job of updating the public on what they're doing with respect to the war. So that said, I just want to share these two things with you. For people who've been following the battle over the last 3 or 4 days, knows that there's a town in Ukraine called Izium, which is turning out to be a key turning point in the current battle. This is where yet another Russian general was purportedly killed, Izium is where the command center for the Russians is. And the claim with this article is that the Ukrainians found the command center, attacked it, and killed 200 people. One of them being this Russian general who is supposedly their top cyber technology person. But meantime, there's a guy named Gerasimov, I think that's his name, who is he's like, in America you would have Milley, right? General Milley as the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Okay, this would be as if Milley went someplace and got wounded in an attack, all right? But this is what happened to the Russians with this guy, Gerasimov. Meantime, the other tidbit is, out in the area where the Moskva was sunk or attacked, Ukraine drones take out 2 Russian Raptor boats. So here we go again, okay? Now the question is this misinformation? Is this some exaggeration, or is it true? We don't know, okay? But I'm sharing this with you, and these are examples, again, of where it's easier to find information about what's going on with the Ukrainians than it is with the Russians. All right, the next story. Finally, I can't believe it. I'm thrilled. Finally, at long last, we have some real good news. The good news is Connecticut government workers going down the drain. Okay? 1 of 6 government jobs is vacant as workers keep leaving. Now, okay, so the government workers are leaving, and at the same time, let's give Governor Ned Lamont, let's give King Lamont credit where credit is due, okay? He has essentially restrained himself in hiring new government workers. So it's basically a program of attrition, and yeah, there they go, down the tubes. So it's a funny way of saying it.
It's also an election year.
Yeah, that's right. There's more on this point. Okay, so it's a funny combination because the state, once again, is patting itself on the back because they are recording yet another surplus from the money, the tax receipts that they're collecting. Moving on. All right, this one, it's another case of you got to watch it with the English language. Unions win final passage of captive audience ban. Since when would you ever think that the unions will be concerned with free speech? Well, that's how this is being sold. And the issue that I'm having is what exactly do the unions mean when they say free speech? Well, what they mean when they say free speech is that when they're attempting to unionize an office, a shop, a company, they have a basis for preventing the employer from interfering with their efforts to unionize. So call it good, call it bad, I don't know. But again, the link will be up for this. You can check it out. Now, to the point about election year game playing, here you go, right here, story number 5. Businesses and essential workers come up short in the final Connecticut budget deal. That said, okay, as you go through the article, it's obvious that the legislature is doing everything it can to come up with little goodies for different interest groups around the state, all in the run-up to the election, okay? So you get to read about it all right there. Meantime, as we have here, honey, I printed too much money. That's right. So, all right, the International Monetary Fund, you have to understand, is a kind of a UN-related financing agency. They have been the bad boys in international finance for a long time. Now, so they run with central bankers, okay? And the central bankers, are then also connected to the Fed. So they have so you have an IMF director in this meeting they just had here. IMF director Kristalina Georgieva said in a panel discussion that central banks globally printed too much money and didn't think of the unintended consequences. Now everybody's looking at this and going, well, that's a remarkable admission of the truth, something they would normally not do. So what's making them say this all of a sudden? Well, I would say because circumstances are getting so bad, right, between inflation and other problems, that they have to admit to this, all right? So this is, I think, another interesting, worthwhile article to look at. Now, the next one is a little bit, this is, I'm going to say near and dear to my heart because I'm a biology kind of guy. Forgive me. So the important point about this article is that we're going to have to face the facts. Researchers, scientists, they are not all that they are cracked up to be, okay? For quite some time now, especially in biomedical research, there has been an ongoing problem. And every few years, there's another study, another report, another investigation, and they come to the same conclusion every time. Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? Anywhere between 50 and 75% of all peer-reviewed, published scientific research cannot be replicated. Okay? That's the whole point of science. If you do something and you report it, people in another lab should be able to take that paper, go through the methods and the materials and everything, and say, yeah, we'll do this. I think we should get the same results. They don't. They don't. And it keeps happening over and over again. So what's really annoying to me and others is that here you have this system that's supposed to provide for quality control in scientific publishing and the actual work itself, and they ain't cutting it. They ain't cutting it. It doesn't matter whether it's Russia, China, America, Europe. It doesn't matter whether it's a great research institute or a mediocre one. It's still the same problem. They have trouble replicating it. Now, there will be a number of reasons to talk about this, but I just want to bring it to your attention. Here's another article, and they get into it, and I think more people need to understand, especially in the context of when you think about what happened with the pandemic, and they said, follow the science. Oh, you mean follow science you can't replicate? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Sure. All right, moving on. Number 8. Okay, the title is Putin's Pie. You want some? Okay, Putin's Pie. This is taking a deeper look at what's on Hunter Biden's laptop, okay? Let's remember the name Yevtushenkov. Yevtushenkov, a Russian oligarch with close ties to Putin. Well, guess who wanted to buddy up with Yevtushenkov? That's right, Hunter and his buddy, Devon Archer, who what? Oh, that's right, he's in prison. I forgot. So back in 2012, 2013, they were working, cutting deals with this guy, kind of on the side there with little old Putin, little Vlad, okay? And let me see if I can find here, this is the critical part I just want to share with you. Again, the link is up. You got to go read this. So now jail business partner Archer was traveling to Russia, staying in hotels, and he wrote he said to Hunter, or to an associate, Moscow's growing great. It does look like I'll be back quite a bit based on our initial response to the real estate fund pitch. Wait a second. Whoa, 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 whoa. Real estate fund pitch? I thought that's what Donald Trump was doing. Something's wrong here. Okay, so 3 months later, Hunter got involved, scheduling a trip to the Russian capital for dinner with Yevtushenkov at the headquarters of his company, Sistema, and that was on February 16, 2012. Okay, so there are more details on this. I think you get the idea, all right? It just, anyway. This one here, I just need to go through this quickly. The title is, Where Are My Progressives At? Many people have observed that the people who call themselves progressive have gotten worse and worse and worse. The things that they would have believed 10 years ago, they don't believe anymore. So, here are all the things that today's progressives are not. They are not pro-free speech. They are not pro-government transparency. They're not anti-revolving door, that is to say, industry people going into government regulation and back out again and make even more money. Anti-conflict of interest, anti-monopoly, anti-censorship, pro-working class, anti-elitism, anti-authoritarianism, pro-individual, and pro-medical freedom, pro-freedom in general, anti-racial segregation, anti-discrimination, pro-due process, pro-viewpoint diversity, and pro-biological reality, not to mention pro-election integrity and transparency. They've lost it, haven't they? These people who, so somebody calls himself a progressive, I cannot think of a louder way to scream hypocrite, you know, but you don't need the word hypocrite. You just announce it by calling yourself a progressive. Okay, Connecticut Commie of the Week, Rochelle Palash, okay? Now, as is often the case with these people, so here, it's hard to see here, but she's the woman in the center. That's Rochelle Palash. And she's another person who's been involved in labor movement. She's the, quote, political director for yet another part of the Service Employees International Union, or SEIU. And she's referred to as the largest property services union in the country. Now, to say that these people, and it says here quite simply, she is affiliated with Communist Party USA. So we're left to wonder, well, what is the nature of that affiliation? Well, they certainly don't make it clear, but here's another person that shows up at meetings, at awards, being on committees, and, you know, anyway, read up on her, and I'll leave it at that. Now, we got two calls to action here. Again, I want to remind you that Saturday, March 1st, Trevor Loudon is going to be, May 21st, Saturday. So he's going to be at a location yet to be specified. If you want to go, ctra.us, send them an email, tell them that you want to go, plunk down your money, and since you're RSVPing, they'll tell you where it is. All right? So that's that part. Now, Gila came up with a brilliant idea, and I am going to now be a real pain in the rear about it. It's called the Thank You Note Campaign.
All right.
Yes, okay. That's right.
I don't have any brilliant ideas, but if you say
but that's it's like the seed. It's the beginning of something that leads to other things. So in this case, she came up with the idea of sending thank you notes. In her context, it involved this Barnes & Noble store finally doing a good job of displaying the conservative books that she wanted to read. I would like to propose, ask, demand, everybody who's listening, take the time and trouble to send a thank you note to State Representative Kim Fiorello for all her efforts. Okay? All right, so let's start there. Okay? And I want to try and build this into something more, but if we start with positive messaging, all right, it's got to lead to something good. All right, so that's it for now, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. All right, thanks.